our session for today is moving into fall 2021. And I added kind of a subtitle to it as I was doing some research to get some information about it. Community and resiliency. And I was pretty sure that I would find information on resiliency, but I was also pleased that the community aspect also came up. I'm going to share with you the fact that the format that we are using is called Webex Events. And if you use Webex in your own classes, this one is slightly different than the way it appears for your classes. So we have a moderator or host, and that is Linnell. Hi, Linnell. And Linnell can communicate, of course, in the chat, but she also will be able to unmute you. She is our personal concierge for this session. So thank you for that, Linnell. As the presenter, I will be speaking freely, and I'm also sharing my screen. And so that is what you are seeing at this particular point. As participants, you can chat in the chat room, and since this is on my screen right now, I am not seeing the chat, but Linnell is going to be monitoring the chat for us, and you can click on everyone to put a question or a comment in there, and she will also be able to unmute you to add to the conversation as we go through. So I just wanted to bring that up because this format for Webex is slightly different than what you may be used to. And so this is where we're headed today. We will be thinking and talking about our reflections from the past year. I know we've been in this for a year and a half, but the very first part of it, everyone was just all of a sudden, here we are online. But since then, for the past year, we have been doing a variety of different types of teaching, and so we're wanting to share some of your reflections from that teaching. But we also will be taking a look at the student perspective on learning during this time. We'll be taking a look at some of the resources that are available to us and some of the strategies that you have to offer and share. And hopefully by the end of the session, you will be able to set some goals or objectives for yourself as we go through that. So again, please feel free to add a question or comment in the chat. And so here is our next poll. Again, same Slido poll. What challenges have you dealt with over the past year? And I have the word opportunities in there because I usually use that term more so than the term challenge, because a challenge is nothing more than an opportunity for us to learn and grow. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to, definitely, to put your the opportunities that you have been dealing with over the past year into the poll time. Yes. No kidding. And I don't know how that became such a major question or concern, but it definitely does. The reliability, the connection, the internet speed, absolutely. What challenges / opportunities have you dealt with over the past year? Student anxiety, yes. Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in just a moment. But yeah, we have one of the things that we have learned is just being more consciously aware, adapting the pedagogy to keep the students engaged despite, well, everything. Yeah. And that is part of why we're doing this today, because I don't know about the rest of you, but as I started thinking about teaching for this semester, things were going in one direction, and then since then they seem to have moved in a different direction. Missing the human touch. Yeah, that has been an interesting perspective in what we are doing. And Zoom fatigue. Yes, I've heard that term. Yep, the human touch, engagement, and I think we can get some ideas and some thoughts on that. So this was faculty responses to the question of challenges over the past year. I have a colleague who was willing to ask students a similar question. So let me share with you what the students' responses were. I found it really fascinating that many of the same things that have been challenges for us were also challenges for the students. And I was really surprised how many of them were concerned about mental health during the process. And so I know we have Michelle Papania in the session. And so we can reference back out to, we had a couple of sessions that Michelle presented for us about ways that we can help maintain our mental health. So when I send this information out to you, I will include links to those. But it was interesting what the student perspectives were on it. Anybody want to make any comments about those before we move on? When all of this, when all this first came down and we saw that it was lasting more than that initial couple of weeks, that was the original thought process on it, I was and still am intrigued with how the research is going to pan out about it, because what an amazing opportunity for those of us who are researchers to dive into this and to see what kinds of impacts all across the field of education. And even as I looked up what I am sharing with you today is not so much from research, but just from articles that have been published over the last several months about how to, what we're doing and how we're dealing with it. And one of them was taking hardships and moving them into strengths. So figuring out what we needed to do in order to accommodate our student needs. So one of the suggestions was adjusting the assignments and the activities. And another was differentiating the formats to add choice so that our students can determine what their preferred way is of showing you that they have gotten that information. Several of the articles I read, and I'll be sending a reference list out with this as well. Several of the articles indicated regular surveys. Do you have what you need to be successful? How can we help? We have known throughout this that there were some resources that were available to check out through the library. So just keeping in touch to find out what our students are dealing with and what they needed. Adding short videos for guidance, and those of you that have been doing some online teaching for a while know the value of those videos. So just jumping in and creating additional short ones. Just here's a question that came up and I thought it was easier to answer it like this type of thing. And being available, not necessarily 24/7, but being available to the students so that they know that they can reach out to you. and recognizing that there have been some gains in the process, and you all have already acknowledged that, recognizing that there are some positives that we have, and some losses. Again, this came up in your comments, that missing that personal touch, that human touch. Although we can add the human touch in, and I have a piece on that a little bit later on, even in an online course. Being intentional, being very intentional with our planning, and recognizing that, okay, here's what I did in the face-to-face class, here's what I'm going to do in the synchronous class. There's a lot of stuff from face-to-face that does not transfer, at least not in a one-to-one type of basis, into the online. And so being aware of that, and knowing that if there's something that you're used to doing in the face-to-face, there is a way of figuring out how to make it work in the online format. And one of the things that I found in a couple of articles is focus on the pedagogy, so that we know that our students are going to get what they need in whatever way we can figure out to do it. Then go into the technology, but the technology has to be there to support the pedagogy. Maintaining our flexibility and knowing that we can be available. We can, reach out to our students, see what their needs are, and support them in those needs. And being listening, consciously listening to them, and staying connected, and sharing the compassion that we have, that we use with our students. And I love this quote from that same articles. We can transform our teaching and our students' learning through our purposeful preparedness, patience, kindness, and a willingness to be flexible. Together, we will seize the opportunities to improve our pedagogy. Let our students' needs guide us. So I felt like that was a really important piece to share. So we're going to go in, and I'm going to give you another opportunity to express. So, what have you learned about yourself as we have moved through this? Yeah, more resilient than we ever realized. Taking everything day by day, moment by moment. And indeed, that's all we have, is this moment. We do the constant changes, more than I had thought. Yeah. Flexibility. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we're here, is those students. Creativity. I love that. Being where my feet are. Yep. Taking it one step at a time. Adapt and adjust. Some wise people here. I love your wisdom, and I love your perspective, and I love your again, flexibility. That's on here. Your willingness to think about where we are, and what we're doing. Empathy, yeah, and that is a key component. Empathy, understanding. I know I had students joining in virtually that were quarantining themselves. So, yeah, making sure that we have ways of getting what they need to them, no matter what. And so one of the articles that I found talked about the types of tools and the ways that these items help support the success. Motivation is high because we can keep the focus on why our coursework is meaningful to our students. Metacognition and the process of reflecting on what we're thinking about, and and giving some thought, some specific thought to how it applies, how to apply it. Self-directed learning, which we know that online teaching does, online learning does have to be pretty much self-directed, and encouraging our students to be partners in their learning. If they're not willing to put the effort into it, we know that they're not going to get anything out of it. And then building the learning community is one of the things that I found in some of the things that I have been reading about how important those things are. That for the community, the teacher presence, knowing that we're there, that's a part of teaching, that we are there for them, and no matter what the format is, we are there. Keeping that trust, having them know that they can reach out to us, being consciously aware of the group dynamics, knowing that everyone's voices count, and even in which, we do this when we're face to face as well. We may not always agree with everyone's perspective on whatever we're discussing, but we honor and acknowledge the fact that that is their perspective, and we respect that with them. And again, almost every article I read referenced the communication tools. That caring attitude, you mentioned empathy in the Slido poll. The approach that we are here for them, being intentional with our planning. And interesting to me that one of the articles that I read referenced mindfulness, being aware of, this is the now. You said in one of these Slido polls that I am where my feet are, and this is where it is. A focus on the conscious awareness of where we are and what we're doing and how we are doing it. And then one of the things that I have been a proponent of for quite a while is the idea of the retrieval practice, the ways that we use to help solidify the information. So that said, let me give you a different perspective on this same question. This is the student perspective on resources that helped them. And I was intrigued with the fact that these particular students mentioned their pets, mentioned food. Some of us have relied on that a little bit more than what I needed, for sure. But yes, yeah. So that's the student perspective on things that have helped. And I was impressed with the fact that someone in this particular group had reached out to the resources that are available to them through the university. So that's a pretty impressive list of ways that they've helped. Family, especially, reaching out and having family help. So that's good. The online shopping could get a little dangerous, but okay. And so I'm gonna also share this, and I know you can't access the links through this, but the Keep Teaching and Keep Learning are a perfect place to start for yourself and for your students to know where to go to get the resources that we need. And we'll again, I will include all of the links when I send this information back out to you. So the university has done an incredible job of making sure that we have stayed up to date in what's going on, in what the guidelines are, and how to best serve our students. So that is an important piece of it. This last one, it was one that really spoke to me. It's one of, well, these are two different articles, but that I really, some of the first ones that I found, and I'm going, and it's incredible. So from ASCD, pandemic lessons, rebuilding our culture. So to build and develop those important relationships, make sure that we may have adjusted our on building relationships reaches back to the humanizing aspect of it, and making sure that we know that we are there, that we're available for them. Reset the rules and procedures. We've done that. We've switched things around in order to make it work for our students, and there's no reason we can't keep up with that. Those mental check-ins, those regular check-ins with our students, that is definitely something that we need to make sure we keep in with. And I loved this one. There isn't a playbook on this. Our students are going through something they've never been through before, but so are we. And yet there will always be things that happen. So the article on resilience, I really love. And obviously from the comments that you all made, you do have a resourcefulness mindset. You know that there is some place to go and to reach out. So and the whole, you've got this, you have figured out, as have our students, figured out what we need to do in order to make it work. And one of the things that we have learned in this whole resilience piece is that it does take a village. None of us are in this by ourselves, and we've got people and places and resources that we can reach out to. And indeed, it is a big deal. Honor and celebrate those little wins. It hasn't been all that long ago that, just going down the paper products aisle at the grocery store and finding something there that we needed was a win. Celebrate those little wins. Any of the small accomplishments that we make, we need to make sure that we honor and keep the gratitude focus on it. So, and it's okay to take a time out. Oh my goodness, we are all dealing with various aspects of the stress. Taking a time out is absolutely important. Communicate, communicate, communicate. That has been in almost everything that I have read on this. So this is, and this I have shared with you all before, but from Michelle Pacansky-Brock, about being a learning partner. And this is a learning pact, and everything that she creates is absolutely free to use and adapt for yourself. And I can send this out with you as well. But a learning pact, and have a conversation about it. Here are the things that you can expect from me, and here's what I will expect from you. And making sure that we all are aware of it right at the outset. The dignity, the respect, and the fact that we all make mistakes, and they are simply opportunities to learn and to grow. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. We have a lot coming our way. So thank you for being a part of our resourceful team. Thank you. Take care.